you own triplexes and condos. So I just want to
Fair enough.
if you had to do it again, what would you pick?
So I'm definitely looking at, like, I will do it again, and I'll do it again and again. And I had a call this morning with a lender again, and I'm going to be buying.
You're tuned in to Boardwalk Talks with Monopoly Group Toronto, where we give you the latest news, tips, and tricks all about real estate investing so that you too can climb the property ladder. Visit us at torontomonopoly.ca. All right, guys, welcome to our podcast. I'm so excited for this with my boy, Donny Mangoes.
Hello. And this is like he's eating a banana. For those that are listening, this clown planned to bring out a banana and took a bite out of a banana. And the whole point of this is it's a don't go bananas, go mangoes kind of scenario. Look, one bite and you threw it away?
No, I saw it. Well, I can only do it for the show, right? Doing it for the podcast.
Man, you look cool with the banana. The thing is, you look, everything about you always look so cool, Ken.
Thanks, buddy. You too, man. I'm only learning from the best.
If you see us right now, Kenny is obviously 4-piece suit here.
Jeez, man, I'm wearing jeans.
Okay, no. Yeah, you are wearing jeans. And he's even got like the fancy AirPods, which by the way I have, and they're amazing, Kenny. But I'm like on this ghetto system right now.
You're on the saving money thing, right?
Yeah, I'm being efficient. I'm trying to use my money wisely. I'm trying to invest my money. Yes,
That's
exactly.
Smart. Yes.
And that's where we're going today with this.
That's exactly it. So we all know why we love real estate investing, both of us do. And it's at the end of the day, it's a long-term game, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm really excited for this. Actually, I've been looking forward to this for a while. So thanks for joining me on this. I guess I'm joining you joining me, whatever.
Yeah,
podcast.
So Kenny and I both run podcasts, and we're gonna like multi-purpose this recording. Yeah, why not?
Video, podcast, whatever. It'll be everywhere. So
2018.
Keeping up with the millennials. Anyway, so today's thing is we're going head to head between Donny and I. If you guys listen to me, I'm all about the condo investing, and Donny's about the triplex investing, right? Duplex triplexes.
Yep.
And we've both done both. So you have both. It's not to say that, I only believe in condos and Donny only believes in triplexes, right?
Right. No, there's definitely many good reasons why you should buy new condos. It's just I happen to have an affinity towards this other type.
Okay. Yeah. So let's get right into it. Why?
Sure, buddy. A few reasons why. So we all understand what a duplex, triplex is. It's basically having more than one renter in one property. So as a landlord, it's one site with 3 separate incomes, or 2 separate incomes, or 4 separate incomes, whatever. I'm going to use triplex for the purposes of this podcast, just to keep things simple and not repeat myself. But there's 3 different units paying me from one property. So as an ease of management, that's one visit I need to make for 3 properties. So there's economies of scale there. But also on the cash flow side, if one tenant leaves and it's in a condo, 100% of it's vacant, and I don't have other income to help, carry the cost or offset while I'm trying to find the next tenant. But in a 3-unit house, if one person leaves, I still got 2 others paying. So I like the economies of scale that this model gives me.
And I love that too.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why everyone wants to do multi-unit.
Totally. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. The only thing is the cost of entry in Toronto. So what's a typical triplex cost you?
So I use the term triplex to mean 3-unit homes. Okay. And I think the city would look at it a little bit differently and say triplex is like a purpose-built thing where there's 3 above ground units. I'm not getting into this legality and all this kind of stuff. If you were to buy a 3-unit home, depending on where you go, of course, you could spend $2 million on a 3-unit home. You could spend $700,000, $750,000 on a really poor 3-unit home. But that's the minimum entry point for a shitty property.
Okay, well, watch your language, buddy.
Why? Let's go over 18.
Okay, sounds good. 18 plus podcast, so we gotta change it.
Mine has an E on it, explicit, because I often, this.
Is it really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. I know that about you. I didn't know that about the podcast. Anyway, so what would you say a price per door would be in your kind of samples?
It'll run you about $300,000 for a decent rental. So each door will run you about $300,000. So it's the barriers to entry. It's cheaper than a condo would be. Like in your world, that's a very different number. But you need to buy more of just one. Like you can't just get one unit. You need to buy a 3-unit home. So yeah. So there are barriers to entry, and it's the affordability is the reason why a lot of my clients can't get into that, and they go the condo route. It's harder to get into.
Right. And you know our path, right? We start with condos first, and then eventually move up to multifamily homes as well too. Multi-unit homes.
Yep.
So you say about $2 million. What would you say the yield is? What kind of rent are you looking at?
So let's use a model of $1 million, and I think maybe what that might help. If you're talking about condos at $500,000, then it's easy multiplier for us to try and compare. For $1 million, if I can find a property that's going to rent for more than $5,000 a month, it's worth me looking into at that point. Anything less than that, I'm not really interested in that property. And we live in rent control world, right? Like, so sometimes you can't change what those rents are if somebody's already in that property. So sometimes you might have a property listed for $1 million and it's pulling in $3,000 a month. That's not a winner for me. So not every property can qualify to be good enough for me to look at. So I want minimum $5,000 before I'll start investigating the property.
So $1,600 a month, $1,666 a month is what you're looking at for $5,000 rental income for 3 units.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah.
Okay. So $5,000, divide that by, let's call it $1 million. And that's realistic.
This guy's a calculator, everybody. He's got an actual calculator. Like,
it's on my desk.
Look at this thing.
You need it.
I forgot what those looked like.
Okay, so $60,000. Let's call it $60,000 a year in income, right? Divide that by $1 million. What's that? We're talking about 6% cap rate. Is that realistic?
It absolutely is. So I do things a bit differently. It's hard to find that option that exists where like you and I could just help clients find that property and buy it and move on. I have to create these oftentimes. So I buy something that's not that vacant, change it, and then work on financing after that, and then I can get that model to work.
Okay, and then you renovate it and all that.
Yeah, but you led this discussion by saying it's a long-term game. Yeah, it is, man, and including even the short-term is a long-term game because I need to build it out to that point where it's working, and then the years will do its thing to make it an amazing investment. Of course, anything that we do, by the way, like in Toronto, I'm very much a firm believer. Anything we buy is a great long-term game for sure, because properties they're not headed down in Toronto. So all these properties are good. I just feel like it's hard to find that property that I'm talking about, but I need to create it. So that's how it's a tougher angle.
Okay, so I mean, how would that work? You buy an 800,000 triple or building.
Sure. So I'll buy a 700,000. Yep. We just helped the client right now. He just bought it for $618 for a duplex. So it's a bungalow and it's got a basement. We bought it for $618. We'll put in 50, so we'll be in it for $670. Call it closing costs, blah blah blah. It'll probably be appraised at $750, maybe even $8 when we're all said and done. And he would get it financed on 80% of that future value. So 80% of 800,000, which is $640, right? He would have bought it for $618, put in 50, and the bank's going to give him back $640 when it's all said and done. So he's in it for a lot less, and he's got an income-producing property that is perfect with tenants that we want.
It seems so unreal, man. To get that.
So by the way, it exists. No, this just happened. Like we just closed on it last week.
Awesome.
And this is what we do. Not that I'm trying to take away your audience here, but I run a program, like my listeners would know, mangosmethod.com, where I kind of show you the ins and outs on how to pull this off, how to do this. It does take patience. It does take money. But in 6 months out, you're in a lot better financial spot than you are as you're going through that 6 months.
Okay. So what area would these homes typically be in?
You got to leave downtown. You got to go to Scarborough and Etobicoke before you can find these homes that are in this prices. If you're talking about the 3 units that are a little bit higher priced, under $1 million, I want to keep it somewhere near transit lines for sure. I want to keep it where the tenant profile is going to match. I happen to love, and not many people are going to agree with me, St. Clair, Old Weston, St. Clair and Keele, like by the junction there, but a little further north and east. I happen to like it there because I'm looking at Smart Track. I know what's happening with these routes and where they're headed, where like in terms of commuters and all that kind of stuff, and where they're creating stations and all that. So I'm very much long-term game, thinking about where the money's going to be in the future, and I'm trying to get those things now. And those options exist in these kinds of markets. Kennedy and Lawrence, I believe it is, has a station coming up as well.
Yeah.
Things like, I mean, I'm looking at kind of like what your boy Don Campbell does with Rain. Like he looks at where is infrastructure headed and uses that as a big motive for where to invest. I'm looking at the same thing, but within Toronto.
Sure.
I mean, I'd love to own in like Literally, you kidding me? I'd love to own a property there, but I'm not going to spend $1.5 million for a poorly producing property, hoping that it's going to be amazing at some point.
Plus, you got to spend 100, 200 grand to get rid of everything, dig it down.
Oh my God, man! And like in logistics, like Kenny and I do renovations as well. The logistics. Think about like bringing garbage bins and stuff like that, and the crew hates you because it's parking is an issue, all that kind of stuff. So you deal with headaches, and it's a little more uncertainty, but it's big risk, big reward. I don't want to chance it that way. I like a little bit more stability.
Okay, so one thing I'm concerned about is the tenant profile as well too, right? And the management of it. So you guys have a management property manager, which is great. Or if not, if you don't have one, then you can hire one from someone else, I'm sure. You factor that into your costs as well too, into your budget, into your model.
Not everybody wants to do that, so we don't really we don't bake it in there. If they want us to do that, like to our clients, we'll absolutely put in those costs as well for property management. So it's literally a turnkey. Like what you're describing is kind of like, when you sit down with a financial planner and the dude's like, okay, here's what we're going to invest you in, these mutual funds, whatever. You just kind of sign and you walk away, and then you look at your statements every year. I think you and I both subscribe to the model where that could exist as well for the real estate world. You don't have to get too involved with management or selection or any of this stuff. We have guys like us that can do this for you, and you could just stay home. You could live in a different country. Wouldn't matter.
For sure.
So we could build it in. Yeah, there's some cost associated with it, but there's also freedom that's associated with it.
Yep. So we do the same thing on our side as well too, but we do it with downtown condos, right? And the reason why we like that is because of the tenant profile.
Tenant profile, dude. Yeah, hit Yahtzee for sure. Like that is the perfect tenant profile downtown.
Yeah,
Toronto.
so we're getting $2,400 a month on average for a 1-bedroom condo. $3,200 for 2-bedroom condos, and like the income are generally higher, right? We make sure it's a third of the rent is their housing cost.
Yep.
Right. So to make sure their income is 3 times what the rent is on the gross income. And then, usually we get those filled out just like that. I think the upside is better in terms of resale because that's where the demand is. Right.
Yeah. Affordability is there too.
Yeah, no, I think multiplex is better because, in terms of the upside, because you can force appreciation really, right? Based on higher rents and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I like control as well. Like I'm not a control freak, but I do like control of the investment and I could just do a bit more without permission on a freehold side than I can on the condo side. Like
right, you could essentially turn them into Airbnbs if you wanted to.
For example, yeah, totally like that. Or I could move a kitchen. I could split up a house sideways as opposed to up and down. I could do things that are just not going to be allowed on a condo. It's fine. It's just different. These are like we're talking about. Like this is not really a head-to-head battle kind of thing because both of these are great. I mean, they are. I mean, yeah, you and I battle, but I mean, this is about they're great. They're both great options. It's not like one of them is terrible. We're talking about comparing what I think is good versus great, as opposed to don't do that. Right? Like, there's definitely buying a condo is the right thing for a lot of my clients and a lot of your clients. Absolutely. I happen to like the returns bananas. I happen to like
mangoes.
I happen to like more of the multi-unit for different reasons. Like tenant profile is definitely important to me, and then like that's why I'll be very careful when I bring people into the property. But I just like having the ability to have the assurance of rent continuity. Like it's someone's going to be there regardless. Like it's not all three are going to leave at the same time. There's going to be
for sure. Your economies of scale.
I like that. Yeah.
Your economies of scale are bigger as well too, right? So you hire one property manager, you go one for 3 units as opposed to 3 places at once. But what about the thing I don't like about the vacancy part is that if you ever decide to sell, how's that going to work out, right? So you want to make sure everyone's vacant first. So
the same problem I described earlier, right? Like this could be if none of my tenants leave for these properties and 20 years out and they've been rent controlled, covered all that time, then then I'm in exactly the same spot of the bad scenario I just described a minute ago, right? That's a risk for sure. And I mean, we all kind of are. It's just now it's compounded because now I have 3 of them in one property and you have 1 that's been there forever. Yeah.
Right. So it's probably easier to kick them out.
But but like, dude, you've seen the rates of return on appreciation. So, okay, that's not going to be a terrible problem. Me as an investor, my carrying costs are going to go down each year because they're paying off the property and all that kind of. So it's not like I'm going to be in a bad spot 20 years from now. Maybe I can't maximize how much I sell it for by 50 grand or 100 grand at that point, who knows? But I've done very well for 20 years in paying that property off and collecting money each month.
For sure. I think everyone, either way you go, it's you can do really well in the long term, but it's just a question. So if for the audience, right? I mean, if they were to pick one investment, how do we do it? Would you pick
do a poll.
condo investing or do yeah, I know we should do a poll.
How do we do a poll on an audio podcast?
I don't know.
I would leave it to you to figure out, because for those on my side, this guy is like, he knows everything about everything. Kenny knows everything about everything.
What? No.
Even the video in the back says Kenneth Yim, broker of record. See that sign back there? Broker of record.
It's just my sign.
He's the boss. He is
whatever.
The boss.
Whatever, buddy. You own both. You own triplexes and condos. So I just want to get, if you had to do it again, what would you pick?
So I'm definitely looking at, like, I will do it again, and I'll do it again and again. And I had a call this morning with a lender, and I'm going to be buying a multi-unit. There's no question in my mind.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going
you're
to
in long-term, you're a holding pattern, and you're not going to sell anytime soon. So you're not going to wait for vacancies or anything like that.
Correct.
You have the cash flow.
Yeah, I love that angle of it. Having said that, I have a new condo coming up in February that'll be ready, and I'll own that. You know, so like I have both feet in the game for sure, but I really, if I'm starting from scratch right now, I'm absolutely buying a 3-unit house.
Really?
Without question. Okay. Without question.
Okay, sounds good. I mean, I'm going to challenge you the other way around, right?
Yeah.
You know, both are great, obviously. So just for the audience watching, you know, either in Toronto, downtown Toronto, or anywhere in Toronto, downtown condo versus a triplex somewhere else outside of Toronto, right? So if you had to pick one, I mean, they're both great. It doesn't matter. Just do something at the end of the day. But I think both are great. So for our route, it would be start with a pre-construction, you know, stagger your deposits. If you don't have all, you know, 200 grand to put down in your first initial investment for $1 million, you can do a, you know, 20,000, 30,000 at a time, and then come up with 4 payments. You get your 20% down, and then wait, you know, 4 years. By then, you know, by the year and a half that you save those deposits, you'll continue to save. I think you'll create some good habits and save that money, and eventually buy maybe even 2 properties, right?
Yeah, it does force, like, that plan does force you to save, which is great, because a lot of people need that discipline. So yeah, and you're creating wealth because you're buying so early that it's going to appreciate on its own.
Yeah, well, we hope
also,
so, right?
Like, this is an argument in your favor here. These builders, as they sell out the units in their inventory from their new construction, they systematically increase the prices as the inventory is dropping. So they single-handedly control the market value, right? And while they're doing
they absolutely artificially create
like, it's not really a market. Market is like but anyways, so they are doing this, and they are increasing the prices. So you can have absolute certainty, Kenny, if you bought your pre-construction condo today, and you're the first one to buy in that building, next year, I guarantee you they're selling the units for more money, and you could say, I made 50 grand or whatever because of the new pricing. So you have that clarity.
I guess it kind of goes to, you know, how passive, how active you want to be, right? With multifamily, I guess, especially with rentals, you know, buying, then renovating,
that's
then
aggressive.
Financing, it's very hands-on, right?
Yeah, it is.
And if you have a professional like Donny, that'd be great to help you manage that as well too. But if you want really passive, just kind of set it, forget it, have full control of what you want to do, then I think condo's the way to go, I guess.
I completely agree with that. Like, I mean, you have to be a little bit more hands-on with a house, because there's just things that need more attention, like lawns, for example, right? Sometimes you'll find a tenant that will absorb the responsibility of taking care of the lawns. Other times they won't. So you know whose responsibility it becomes? Yours, right? Like, you can't just neglect it. Snow removal, stuff like that.
Or noise.
Even noise between units. Like, this happens because there's no property management in the house. They can complain to you about noise. They're going to call you. So there's a little bit more hands-onness for sure. Yeah. And I'm okay with it. Like, I think the investment itself is great, but I think you and I are both very particular about who we let into the investment, which kind of tenant we let in there. Like, you have to be. We look at so many checks. I don't want to deal with it. I know my client's problem is not my problem, just like you feel the same way. And I don't want to deal with it either. Yeah. So I make sure that I'm very careful. And if I have any like indicator where I'm not going to be, or there might be a little bit of a chance of I'm not going to take a chance. I'm just going to move on and find somebody else, because we are in a market where people are lining up to rent these days in Toronto.
Yeah, demand's really strong for sure.
So we have that ability. It's terrible if you're a tenant. Yeah, I'm not heartless, but at the same time, this is an investment. It's not meant to be a pity thing.
It's charity, yeah, for sure.
It's not charity.
I mean, it's your investment, right? And you should be protecting that investment for sure.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. But so getting back to condos versus multifamilies, I mean, I like condos because they're professionally managed as well too, right? I mean, in terms of professionally managed, you have a property manager for the
on-site
building.
Yeah.
On-site for the entire building, not for the unit itself, but for the building, the entire building, right? So the roof, the window, all that kind of stuff is all taken care of. right?
Totally. Changing the furnace filters or whatever. Like you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff.
That's right.
Yeah.
Whereas a freehold, you have the option to do anything you want in it. Really,
Totally.
It's your full control.
Yep.
So I don't think that answered any questions for anybody.
Well, you have an agenda. Ken, like this is how we're going to...
I don't have an agenda. There's no agenda.
You just emailed me something a little while ago. Hang on a second. Watch.
Oh, no, it's just questions asked. And you already kind of hit everything, right?
Hang on. Let's see what happens here. You talked about parking, sizes and stuff. You get this a lot, Ken. I'm not going to buy a condo because maintenance fees. And I don't have maintenance fees in the house. I get that so often, right?
Yeah.
How do you answer that normally?
Well, do you own a home? You own a home.
Me? You asking me?
Yeah.
I totally do, yeah.
Client. You are the client, whatever.
Okay, so I'm the client now. Let's role play.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So, Donny, I get your concern about the maintenance fees for a condo, but the thing is, like, how much are you spending on maintenance in your home right now?
That's a good question. I never really thought about it. Well, let me think. Last year, I had to change my roof, and that cost about $5,000 for just the half of the roof. I had to get my furnace serviced for $300. I had to... Oh yeah, there was a plumbing leak. I had to take care of that as well. Man, I never realized that. I spent about $7,000 or $8,000, Ken.
Yeah, so divide that by 12. What is that? 7, 8. Let's call it 7,000, just to be safe. Divide that by 12. You're looking at $583 a month, right? So for the square footage of that in a condo, obviously you can be paying a lot more for what you get in a house, right? But at the same time, you also get the amenities. And it's a lifestyle thing. You just lock your door and go in a condo, right? So, and that may not translate to you as an owner, but it would translate to the tenant, and the tenant may want that and might be paying more for that. They actually, in fact, I think they are paying more for that. So,
I think the misconception here is that people think that there's no maintenance on a house, and as a homeowner, and your home, like the costs are higher in the house. People, I don't know why everyone thinks that it's not. Like you get less. And you're paying more. Maintenance fees are a blessing. I can't wait to move back into a condo when I retire.
Yeah.
So and gladly pay maintenance fees so that I don't have to do this stuff. That
but
I don't want to do.
Investment though, as an investment, I guess that kind of translates the same way, right? Because you don't have to worry about those things, you know. But
the certainty, right? Like you know for sure, all you're going to be exposed to is $580 a month in maintenance fees. But I don't know what I'm going to be exposed to if there's water coming in from the foundation, and you know, and that's a $15,000 fix. That's a $15,000 fix that I didn't plan for this year, and there goes my gain, right? Yeah, these are things that, to make your argument even stronger, condos are clear at deciding that. Like there's more certainty as to what can go wrong,
right?
And what your maintenance fees cover.
But in a multiplex, especially when you get to the past 3, when you get to like the 20-unit buildings and stuff, you can start charging for laundry as well too. There's services and all that.
Multiple income streams for sure.
That's right. So it's a real business, but it's just obviously the cost of barriers to entry a lot higher, I think.
Yep.
You know, but it does make sense. The economies of scale are bigger. Economies of scale are bigger
for money, but also like for risk.
That's what risk.
It's easier that way. I feel like, and you probably experienced the exact same thing. House prices were on a tear, and then condo prices didn't really shoot up as high. And then last year, the opposite happened. House prices kind of dripped a little bit, and then condo prices started coming back up. So the gap was widening, and then the gap really shrunk. And I really feel like the next pull is going to go back to freehold being more expensive than condos again. That's how I feel.
Absolutely.
So if the percentage gain is there on the freehold, then I kind of want to be in the freehold side of it, just so that I can jump on that bandwagon and make money with the market. That's how I feel about that. So like it's an educated guess for sure, but that's where I'm going with my dollars.
Well, it's definitely hard to predict. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the freehold is that you get land, right? So whereas condo, you're buying in the air, I guess you could say, right? Or you are buying property, but it's still titled, but it's not, you don't get land. So you can't do whatever you want to it. Right. So I would actually say that freehold is cheaper per square foot. Actually, it is cheaper per square foot.
100% it is, yeah.
Because of location, right?
Yeah.
Because of location. So definitely there's a gap. It depends if the gap is this big or this small. It just kind of goes like this, right?
Right, yeah.
So in recent years, it's kind of been, the condos have been going up, but there's still a gap. Houses coming down, but eventually,
totally.
Right?
The average price. Well, and that's why there's more activity. Like we're seeing more volume happening on the condo side. It's because the buyer pool is larger at $500,000, $700,000, and you can't buy a lot of houses for that price. So the buyer pool exists at these affordable prices, and that's why we're seeing more and more volume activity on the condo side than we are seeing on the freehold side these days. But I still think the appreciation percentages are going to increase on the freehold more than they are in the condo for the next little while. And then when that happens, the price point's higher, so is the percentage increase. There's more money to be made on gains, I feel, right now on the freehold side. So I like all the freehold has to offer, including that. But again, I own condos, and I am not just, I think they're great. I'm definitely more hands-off on the condo side than I am on the freehold side. I think the rewards are higher on the freehold side.
What's hard to say? I mean, the appreciation's hard to say because you don't know where it's going to go.
I don't know,
and plus
but this is my educated
cost. The cost of it's going to be higher, right? It's like double or triple the cost. But at the end of the day, there's no doubt about it. If you have multi-units, you're going to get higher cash flow, which is great.
Totally. I think you can't go wrong. I think if you're listening to this podcast or watching this and you have not yet bought an investment property, you got to get into the market.
Do it. Yeah.
Ken, I just came back from a client meeting to share this with you, because this is not an abnormal scenario. She bought her freehold townhome for $650, and she bought with 5% down, so 30 grand, 30 and whatever, and plus $20,000 closing costs. She's in it for 50 grand. A year and a half later, it's worth $850 because the house just sold across from her at $865. $850. Her $50,000 just made her $200,000.
Yeah, that's great.
That's the difference between that's leverage. Yeah, that's why I love real estate as an investment. She put down 5% because that was a principal residence. But us, when we buy properties, we're putting down 20%. 100% of it's appreciating, though I'm only in it for 20%.
That's of course cost. Yeah, for sure.
Dude, it's for everyone that hasn't done it yet. You need to get into real estate investing because your world will be blown away by the returns.
Well, you talk about something you call the UHnari SP, which is a genius branding, right? So what I tell everyone is that if you have a new kid anywhere from 0 to 5 years old, you should be buying a property because, if your mortgage is 25 years, right? Or even 30 years, by the time they're, 30 or 35, whatever, you'd have a paid off property just by paying the mortgage. Forget about appreciation.
Exactly. It doesn't matter. Totally. You can make nothing in 20 years, which is, we all realize is like ridiculous, but you can make nothing and still be so much further ahead in gains, and so much more further ahead than what your RESP. My RESPs suck right now. I look at my kids' RESPs. I don't know if you started, Ken. Don't do it. Okay. No. Just buy condos.
Well, I dropped my RSPs a long time ago, but 10 years ago, I stopped paying RSPs because it just doesn't make sense. Yeah, there's tax write-offs and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, if you pay off your mortgage, just by paying your mortgage, in 25 years, you have a paid off property. And who knows what that's going to be worth in 25 years on top of that, right? So
Exactly.
So we weren't debating that. And I was hoping to get a head-to-head with you about condos versus triplex. Yes, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I guess it depends on your personal situation, what you're looking to, how much you can afford, how much you want to afford, and what kind of tenant you want. There's so many different factors, right?
I really feel like when I'm consulting with my clients, it's an affordability. If you can qualify for a multi-unit, then that's where I highly suggest you go to. And if you can't, so it's almost like I notch them as like level 1, level 2. And so the condos to me are, different story. I'm talking about resale condos for the most part. I know you deal a lot with pre-construction because you have a large network of people that are heavily involved at the early stages of condo investing. And I really feel like that's where you are with these people. There's tremendous money to be made on pre-construction when you're buying really, 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 really early.
And tremendous risk though, right?
For sure. And because we've done transactions together with those network, like with the network as well. So
for sure.
I buy into it as well. It has to be the right project. I'm more forgiving of houses than I am of condos though, personally. Like I will only buy a select set of condos, but I'll buy any number of houses.
I don't know, man. I'd buy, I guess because of the fact that you can improve it, which is pretty cool. But I would disagree with that, man. Because if you buy a condo, at the end of the day, you could buy 3 of them for the cost of your triplex, or 2 of them, really. 2 and a half. Yeah, 2 of them, right? So, and they're better locations. You get better tenants, typically, right? Because the rent is higher and all that kind of stuff. So, okay, so, hey, guys, sorry, we got cut off there, and Donny's on his phone now because he's got to go fix his kids. So let's tie it off. I mean, at the end of the day, it really depends on you, depends on your situation, and I guess consult your professional, myself or Donny, for your opinions.
Yeah,
Donny, find more about you.
To find out more about me, teammangos.com. So TEAMMANGOS.com.
is the hub for our info. But like I said, I manage that program, that course, mangosmethod.com, which shows you how to get into the duplex, triplex world and do it in a financially responsible way and make a lot of money. And then I have, Ken mentioned UHnari SP. That's at UHnariSP.ca, where I encourage everybody to stop contributing to your RESPs, which are silly investments, and start considering real estate as an alternative for that. And I give many reasons as to why. So that's a bit about me. I think Kenny and I both probably agree that it doesn't matter if you're going the new condo, if you're going the triplex route, you got to get into the real estate investing world. If you do not, you will miss out on this like miraculous gain you're gonna possibly miss out on. So it's huge. But it doesn't matter what you invest in, Kenny. We talked about leverage. Anything that you can buy when you're paying 20% of it and you're appreciating at 100% of its value is a great idea. And real estate is the only thing that you can do that with right now. So buying real estate is the answer.
Sounds good.
Anyway.
And I'm at torontomonopoly.ca. We have a podcast as well too, and so does Donny. And we have a quarterly webinar, a quarterly seminar as well, investing seminar. It tells you all about this stuff as well. So thanks for watching.
Amazing. Thanks, Kenny.
All right, buddy.
Bye.
Drive safe. Bye.
If you like what you just watched, don't forget to click to subscribe. We're on Apple iTunes and YouTube as well. And visit us at www.torontomonopoly.ca. Thanks for watching.